Hello and welcome to Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life. This is Jared, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, Johanna. Hey, Johanna.
Hi, Jared.
What are we going to talk about today?
How to create a win-win situation with your admin.
Okay, so I like win-win situations. I don't really like admins.
Why not?
I don't know. Aren't they the enemy?
I will say it depends what school you're at. I'm not going to lie.
Sometimes they're the enemy, sometimes they're the
your
ally.
Your bestest friend.
Because it's easy to win-win with your ally.
Yes.
It's harder to win-win with someone that feels like an enemy.
Yes.
So you're going to be able to do both, though.
I feel like I have, and I'm excited to share some techniques.
Well, don't keep us in suspense. Tell us how.
Well, I'm going to start off by saying that my admins that have had me, and it turns out I've had a lot. I was doing a count, and I think I'm over 10 now, would say that I was probably a challenge to have as a teacher.
They would say that?
I'm a little bit of a pistol.
Yes.
So, if they happen to be listening, they might have opinions. But I think all of them would say I was very good at getting what I wanted when I wanted it. And that there were many times where I helped them get them what they wanted when they wanted it.
Win-win.
Win-win.
All right. So let's hear it. How did we do?
Okay, so first thing you have to do is figure out what drives your administrator.
Figure out their motivations?
Their motivations.
Real quick side note. We say admin or administrator. Is this a fancy word for principal, or like what's the deal with that?
Yes. It could be whoever is kind of directly in charge of you.
Like
whoever,
your boss as a teacher, which is
whoever
usually a principal.
Whoever evaluates you. Whoever has the ability to get you fired or get you things, that person.
But as a lay person here, I would say that's always a principal, but there's sometimes other terms for it, or...
The bigger school you go to, the less it's likely the head principal.
You might have a vice principal or some other non-teacher, essentially executive of the school.
Correct. Or you might have multiples. So you have someone that you have to create win-win for budget reasons, for supervising, for whatever it is. Yeah, the smaller the school, the more likely it's old school, the principal's in charge of everything.
So by admin, though, you mean anyone that's in charge of you as an employee or resources?
Correct. So I have had situations where this meant assistant superintendents, or it really depends on the size of school.
Like maybe like a media center person?
The
print shop?
They tend to be teachers.
Okay. So it's different.
It's different.
Different episode. Admins. And the teachers are going to know what you mean by admins. This is just for me, really.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, or for parents. It turns out we have a lot of parent listeners.
So it's good I asked then.
So it's good that you ask.
So basically principal, but bosses.
Bosses.
Okay. Got it. Go.
Okay.
Figure out what they want.
Figure out what they want. Not
unlimited power.
That's very rarely true.
Okay. I just watched Vice last night, so I'm kind of thinking about that.
A lot of times it could be that they want the parents to like them. It could be that they want their boss to like them. It could be that they want the staff to like them and do whatever new initiative they're on. I mean, really take time to figure out what would make them happy, because that is your secret weapon. Are
you just sort of assuming that like kids get educated well as like table stakes? Because you didn't say, well, what if the admin wants kids to have the best educational outcomes? Well, basically everyone wants that. You're looking at like kind of their more why they care about the kids having the best educational outcome.
It's assumed that they want kids to have the best educational outcome. The difference is
that's why they're all in the game. That's why you're all in the game. But like
we
all have our own
for it?
Yeah.
Like you could have the most amazing school ever, and how you get recognized for that is what's important. Or they might have ideas about how to create more learning, and they need resources or help or teachers on board or whatever it is to try and create that greater learning.
And different people are going to measure their own success in different ways. And it could be, I know I'm doing well with the student learning because the parents all believe that I am, or because the district believes that I am, or because the teachers believe that I am. Like, so you're saying feel out the way that they motivate themselves.
Yes.
All right. That
Okay.
seems wise.
It is, and yet people will sometimes struggle with their administrator and they never take the time to figure out, well, why is the administrator doing things you don't like? And it's because of their motivations. And so if you figure out their motivations, you then have the ability to change how you act slightly so that they see you as someone who helps them get what they want.
Yeah, people have this problem all over the place in all types of enterprises,
Oh, really?
which is like, well, the right thing to do is to act like everyone has the same motivation as me, because assuming they had motivations that I don't share would be rude almost. So I'm going to treat everyone like they share my motivations exactly, and that will be just and correct and good. But that's dumb. So would you say, I mean, usually if you're getting frustrated about people not aligned with what you want, you're probably failing on recognizing what their own motivations are.
Correct.
And what if they're just a soulless suck up? Like, that exists, right? Like, they're just trying to
does.
advance their own career
Yep.
by whatever means necessary.
Uh-huh.
You can still use that.
You can still use that.
Okay.
Very successfully. That's even easier.
Because it's really predictable.
It's so predictable and it's so cheap, right? Like, it's hard to get student learning to increase. That is labor intensive hard work. If all someone wants is fame and glory, you can get that for them by get newspaper articles over something that is silly, but you hype it the right way. Yeah, that's the easy part. If all they want is fame and glory.
Turning a little bit of sugar into cotton candy.
A little bit of sugar into cotton candy, yes.
Okay. That makes sense.
Or, like, I actually think teachers do amazing work all the time, and part of why we're in teaching is because we don't need the glory for it. So just simply taking time to get recognition for what we're already naturally doing, it's very simple. I mean, it's essentially doing nothing but sending some emails and being willing to have your picture taken.
Helping them promote themselves
Yes.
is a cheap way to get favorability.
Correct.
So how do you go about figuring out what your administrator wants?
I start by figuring out what their administrator wants. So I think it's human nature for all of us to want our boss, even if we don't like our boss, to think we're really good at our job.
Yeah, right.
So kind of the easiest trick is to figure out what their immediate boss wants to see and then communicate out that is happening to that person.
What do you mean communicate?
I'll send email to my boss's boss pointing out something that my administrator did that met the values of their administrator.
Oh, so you mean promote your boss to their boss, essentially?
Yes.
Once you identify what you think that boss wants.
Correct.
Okay.
And again, I'm being genuine. I mean, it's a genuine thing, but we all love it, right? When a parent sends an email to the principal that's just a glowing report of us and our abilities. And so do that for your administration.
Okay. Smart, right?
Yeah.
That's low cost.
Low cost, high value.
Right.
Okay.
Probably not just teachers should do this, but
No, I mean, it can feel hokey. Don't make it hokey. Don't send something. Be very specific. I want to let you know what happened this week. I was very thankful because blah, 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 blah. We always say that here at X school district, we really value and encourage X. And this week, my administrator did blah, 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 blah.
Yeah. You're identifying them engaging in the values that we say we have, which is the thing you've already identified that the administrator cares about.
Yep, with a very concrete example of when it happened.
And by being concrete, you look a little bit less like a suck up and more like just a, hey, I wanted to share this because it was a positive thing.
Yes.
Cool. All right. I can do that.
Then it becomes a question of the politics within your school district, whether you CC the person or not.
How do you determine that?
So, as a general rule, I don't CC the administrator.
That would have been my instinct.
But if you have an administrator or you have an administrator's boss who maybe isn't too in tune with the world, it can be helpful to CC.
What do you mean? Like they don't pay attention to things, or?
They tend to be very, how to put this? Surface level.
Superficial.
Well, if you got an email from your kid's teacher about how amazing your kid was, what's your instinct the next time you see your kid?
I say, great, attaboy.
Yeah, you tell them about the email. And
yeah.
You tell them that you're proud. And then the kid, because they don't know about the email, gets to have this genuine moment with their parent where their parent shows pride. And so what you're trying to create is this moment where your administrator gets to have a feeling of pride and they don't know what's coming, and so their response is genuine. But if their boss is not the type of person...
If you can't trust them to actually send that feedback back.
Right. If you want to send a nice email to a kid's parent and then that parent's never going to tell the kid about the email, then you're going to have to step up and tell the kid about the email. Or you're going to have to CC your administrator to let them know, like, even if you don't get a that a boy or that a girl, like, I see what you're doing and that's of value. So thank you.
Sure. So the first is better, but if you can't rely on the boss to send it back down, then you might as well make sure it's not all for nothing.
Correct.
Got it.
Okay. So I don't think this is very good. I feel like we should start over.
What? No. What? It's good.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay. Then you also want to figure out who your administrators look up to.
Okay. How do I do that?
Ask them what they're reading. This is a dangerous question because the answer could be nothing. So you do want to be kind of careful because that can send the wrong message. What are you reading? And then they don't have a response. However, that does tell you a lot when they don't have a response. But as a general rule, your administrator will tell you about books or podcasts. Tell me about your professional development that you're focusing on this year. I'm just curious. You got to be careful how you bring this up, but you want to take a peruse at what they're looking at.
Right. This makes sense already. I don't even know if you need to explain it to me.
People don't do it.
I know, but I don't know why they don't. Because, yeah, it's the easiest way to impress people is to dress nice. But the second easiest way is to talk about things they already like.
Or to use what they already like to their disadvantage.
Okay. Like how?
I use it to get what I want.
How?
This is why my administrators will tell you I'm a challenge.
How?
Because you connect what you want to what they're reading from the people that they value and look up to.
So you contextualize your requests for things in the language of something that you know that they've read?
Yes.
Got it. So, like, if you were trying to get something from me, you would say, well, behavioral economics teaches us this is the way that people's brains work, so we need to do it this way.
Oh, no, that's way too direct.
Okay, well, let's do it then.
Okay.
Ask me for something then.
So, I notice our week is very busy, and I'm worried we're going to forget something.
That sounds like your problem.
Well, I'm wondering if we could try out a checklist for our family and then assign people to different jobs on the checklist.
Yeah, I think checklists work great.
Yeah.
I read El Tu Guande's book.
Yeah. So what would that look like if we like created a list of everything we needed to do so that there was shared ownership?
I don't know. I think maybe you should just make the checklist.
So I know you've been reading about checklists and how valuable it is to have shared ownership.
I haven't actually read about shared ownership.
Yeah, of course. In the book, the nurse is in charge of the checklist.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So even if I'm the doctor, I need to have a nurse helping me to make sure that everything gets done.
According to the checklist.
Correct.
Right. I don't know. We could maybe make our Google Calendar more like a checklist.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
There's probably better ways to do it. I don't know. Someone should make an app. There's probably already an app. We tried that one app.
We did. But I just got you to agree to take shared ownership over everything that needs done this week.
But I get what you're saying.
Jared, let's get into some specifics though with education.
All right. So it makes sense to me that you would couch your arguments in the context of things that you know that they've read or admire. So can you give an example of what that looks like?
Yes. So let me think here about a couple of examples. I want to make sure that I'm not getting too
All right, so let's do a scenario. I'll kind of be the administrator, and you can create a win-win situation with me.
Okay.
What's the context of a scenario? Would give me something that's sort of realistic.
Okay, we're hiring. We've just interviewed a bunch of people, and now we're down to 2 candidates.
Are you like involved in the hiring committee or something? Or?
Yeah,
Okay.
so you're not allowed to answer questions or ask questions, but you're like on a panel. And so they want your input or your feedback before the administrator then makes the decision that they want to make. So you have very
Sure.
little control, but you get to say something.
That makes sense.
Okay.
That makes too much sense. But okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you're officially in my meeting to pretend to give me advice, and I'm going to do what I want anyway.
You're going to do what you want anyway.
So how are you going to align what I want into a win-win?
So you've seen one teacher who's got 5 years experience.
I like that. I like experience.
Yep. You watched her in the classroom. She seemed competent. Hiring her would be of no struggle.
Got it.
Walk in, she'd do what she wanted. But I, the teacher, know her methods are standard and not inventive and wouldn't push our PLC, and I'm a little worried that personalities wouldn't mix. And we saw someone else that we interviewed who was a brand new baby teacher and seemed very open to new ideas, but a lot of training would need to go in, a lot of work will need to go in. And year one, the first teacher would be a lot easier from an administrator's perspective.
I could just set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it. But 5 years later, that teacher will probably be in the same place at the same time. Whereas the brand new baby teacher, like, I think I could learn a lot from that person. And so in 5 years, I think that the effort will have been worth it and will have made it better.
You want the new one. Even
I want
though
the new one.
For me, the administrator, the experienced one is an easier, safer choice.
Right.
All right. So what do you do?
So, as we're discussing, I bring up our values at our school district, which is we are a very innovative school district. We're switching how we grade. We're switching assessment practice. We're switching the purpose of homework. And we are looking for inventive minds that can help us create something that doesn't quite exist yet.
Okay.
And so when we evaluate the candidates, I think we should look for those individuals who bring something to the table that will be new and will help us to where we want to go versus those people that help us maintain where we already are.
Yeah. I get that. I don't really care.
Oh, but I think you do care because the superintendent cares.
Yeah, but you haven't scared me with anything.
I haven't scared you with anything?
Yeah.
It's not about scaring you.
It's not?
No.
So
Why would I scare you?
I'm sure that both candidates will be fine as far as they'll be innovative.
Yeah, but administrator would really respond back with, I agree that innovation is important, but we need someone that can manage a classroom.
Yeah, but why do I see that there's any difference in innovation yet? You think that's going to be obvious?
Yes,
Okay.
that is obvious to the administrator. It's obvious that one teacher will have had an innovative approach watching them teach, and another teacher will have had excellent classroom management, but nothing was innovative.
All right. Okay. So I get that. So I do care. But yeah. Okay. Fine. Yeah, you're right. It's important to manage a classroom. We can teach innovation to the other one.
So you think that classroom management is harder to teach and you worry about the amount of time it could take.
Yeah.
Right. As a PLC though, our PLC is very good at classroom management, and I actually think that that's something that we could teach relatively quickly. We're looking to be recognized as a standout school, and innovation and willingness to accept change is the hardest thing our staff currently deals with. And so we need to be hiring people who seem eager for change and have a willingness to try new things.
Well, you make a good point. That would make us look better.
Yes. I think you are right.
And you think
I think it would make us look better to have an innovative staff willing to accept change.
you guys think you can get this new teacher up to speed on classroom management?
Yes. We have done it before. We have strategies that work, and it's just a matter of making sure those first several weeks that we're giving the time and the attention necessary to help problem solve at the very beginning of the year.
All right, well, I'm trusting you here, but maybe this is the right call.
I appreciate your trust.
All right, so that kind of worked.
Were you just naturally agreeing with me, or no, you bought in?
Yeah, no, I don't really know what it's like to be an administrator, but
It's hard. I would not want to be an administrator. It looks hard. Just looking at it.
But I'm trying to draw parallels to like corporate land, but you're right. It's the teaching people culture is a lot harder than teaching people skills.
Yes. Yeah. But you can use this for all sorts of things. If I am in a situation where I think an administrator needs to be involved with a parent sooner than I think, or if I'm needing particular help with a student and I think there's an approach that will be very effective, bringing it back to those values and what the administrator appreciates in themselves, and them kind of knowing in the back of their head that if this goes well, you're going to make sure that they get recognized for the hard work that you're asking them to do.
Right, because you've established that with the other part.
Right. I mean, no one wants to work hard for you and then you never say thank you.
Yes.
So make it known that doing the hard work for you is of value to them, because you will make sure they get credit for what they do.
Got it. Is that everything I need to know?
That's it. Recap it, Jared.
Okay. Recap it. First, we're going to figure out what motivates them.
Yes.
And to do that, we're going to figure out what motivates their boss, because it's the number one simplest way to figure out their own motivations.
Correct.
Then you're going to make sure that you give them credit where it's due.
Yes.
Especially to their boss.
Correct.
And then ideally, like the best way to do that, the best way for that to land is for an email to their boss that you can trust will come back to them as a positive experience so they can show an honest reaction in front of it. If you can't trust that, go ahead and include them when you're not necessarily singing their praises, but like giving them credit when they're doing the things that you want to according to the motivations that you understand.
And if their boss is parents, then it's Twitter, it's Instagram, it's your local paper, it's about getting the message out to their bosses that you are impressed with their work.
When they do things that you want.
Yes. So that they get recognition for it.
Then figure out other things that they value by asking about, like, what do you read or what is your professional development goal?
Correct. Yes.
And
Look
then
at you. Good job.
and then using that and what the boss wants and what the school values are, couch your arguments is the wrong word, but your advice, your requests, your arguments, whatever,
When you want something.
right, whatever you want them to make a decision that you want, package it in those things, read the things that they read, and make the checklist argument or the behavioral economics argument, if you're talking to me,
or the innovation argument, which happened to be what our little example was.
right. And then that's the way to get them to decide the things that you want in a way that's a win-win.
Right.
Got it.
You did it.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Johanna, do you get questions from listeners ever?
Yes, we do.
How do those listeners send you questions?
They send us an email.
Where does that email go?
teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
But wait, what kind of 4? How do I do 4?
All of the 4s. They can do a number 4. They can write the word FOR, or they can do FOUR, even though that one doesn't quite make sense.
Well, perfect. teachertalk4teachers@gmail.com.
Yes.
Thank you, Johanna.
Thank you, Jared.
Teacher Talk, the podcast for teachers who are lifers but still want to have a life.